right. So we are going to take a second to think about how we're going to use search terms to be able to find what we need in the databases. And so one of the things that I have done for you is I've created a search terms here out of a couple students' thesis statement and question. So the first thing I want to do is kind of show you. I had a couple students who are working from a question because they don't really know what they want to say yet about the topic, but they have a topic in mind. And so that's a really good place to start. And so I let them start with a question. And so they say, how does this one example is how does a role model affect an individual? And so we need to know how to take that and use it in the databases. And so what we're doing here is we are taking the key elements of this and turning them into search terms. So really this person wanted to know about role models and their effect. So we took role model and we changed it to, and we wrote it down, role model, and then synonyms for this, right? So you want to look for synonyms for each one of the key terms. So another word that somebody might use for a role model is a mentor. We discussed the idea of like teachers and coaches, but really those are designated jobs. And what this person really wants to get into is like, that non job oriented person, that person that just is in your life, that is a mentor. And so that person is over here. So that's why we didn't add those other two things. So you need to think about what is the word that's going to get you to where you want to go. So role model and mentor is where we ended up. Then we thought of other words that could go with effect. So we've got effect, impact, benefit, and outcome. So these are the things we're going to write in an advanced search. Okay, so what you're going to do, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second, is you're going to put all these into an advanced search rather than just the basic search, because it's going to help you weed out and narrow in on the topic that you want to talk about. Another one came from a thesis statement that's still a general thesis statement. This doesn't name like the exact country. This doesn't name the exact place, but it's a good starting place for where research needs to start from. So the statement from this student was, through group effort, protesters use social power to create change. Well, that's a great statement. Okay, so now we need to find out if this is true and when that's true. And then they can write their thesis statement again later on a more specific topic. So the key ideas here were social protests, and nonviolent protests, because the student really wants to focus on those grassroots types things where people are making change from just a normal person standpoint rather than from a militaristic standpoint. And so those are the key terms that kind of got at these ideas. And notice it's not the exact same word, but really when we're thinking about it, these are the topics that we want to look at. Then we went over here and we added change, and then social change, impact, and effect, because those are words that might come out of it. I chose specifically not to say benefit like I did before, because sometimes protest does not have a benefit, and we need to know what that is too, because we're looking at the broader scheme. One of the things I want you to notice is that I have quotation marks around anything that's more than one word, because in this case, I don't want social by itself. I want social protest, because if social is by itself, then you might get social media. You might have to do with like social status. Anything related to the word social will pop up. But by putting quotation marks around it, it makes it social protests rather than social by itself. I do want protests, so that would be fine, but it's the social part I'm more worried about. Just like down here, nonviolent is really not nonviolent everything. I want nonviolent protests. Okay, so what we're going to do then is you're going to take this idea and you are going to take your keywords, and I'm going to slide this out of our way here so that you can get to it. And I'm going to click on the database passwords here, which is this spreadsheet. I'm going to click on Academic Search Elite. It's a pretty good one. Another good one is Gale in Context, or you could use Explora. Any of those three are best bets for our general searching. So we're going to click on here. I've typed in the username and password from here. So here's the username. The password is there. I've typed those in. I'm going to click sign in. And throughout the course of research, you might have to do this several times. The signing in process does take a minute. And so you might have to actually sign in again because if you've been looking for a while, it might time you out, which is just normal part of the process. Of course, this is going to take a minute for us to get loaded. try again.